In the mountains north of Takayama, where the fog moves slower than the rivers, there lived a man named Suta Nakamura. He was 78 years old. For most of his life, he had been a woodworker, the kind who repaired old shrine gates, temple doors, the wooden beams of houses that had stood for centuries. But by the time this story finds him, his hands no longer held tools. They held teacups, cold ones, mostly, because he often forgot to drink before the warmth left them. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of the village, where the roof sloped low and the garden had gone half wild with moss. Every morning, before the sun cleared the ridge, he walked the same stone path to the river. Not to fish, not to bathe. He simply sat and watched the water move around the rocks it could not change. The villagers considered him a quiet man, a polite man. But those who looked closer noticed something else, a kind of tiredness that sleep could never touch. Not the tiredness of age, the tiredness of carrying something for too long without ever setting it down. What Suta carried was not grief, and it was not illness. It was a boy he had once been, impatient, proud, quick to anger, careless with the people who loved him. A boy who, at 23, had said something cruel to his father in the heat of an argument, words he could never take back because his father died only 2 winters later, before the apology could be spoken. A boy who had left his first wife when the marriage grew difficult, not out of malice, but out of fear disguised as certainty. A boy who had once believed that success would fill the emptiness he didn't yet understand, and spent 30 years chasing it, only to find the emptiness had simply waited for him, patient as stone. Suta was not haunted by strangers. He was haunted by himself, by the version of him that made every mistake before wisdom had the chance to arrive. And for decades, he treated that boy as an enemy, someone to disown, someone to silence. He thought that if he worked hard enough, apologized enough, achieved enough, he could bury that younger self so deeply that the man he became would no longer be associated with him. But regret does not bury easily. It waits in rooms you forget to close. One autumn evening, an old friend, a monk named Ryasen, who had known Suta since boyhood, came to visit, as he did once a year, always uninvited, always welcomed. They sat by the small fire, the rain outside falling in that slow, deliberate way that made the whole mountain feel like it was breathing. Suta, unprompted, spoke of his father, of the words he never took back. His voice did not break, but something old in it did. Ryosen listened without interrupting, the way monks are trained to listen. Not to respond, but to receive. When Suta finished, Ryosen was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked a question that Suta would carry for the rest of his life. "Do you forgive him? The boy who said those words?" Suta blinked. "Forgive who?" "Yourself," Ryosen said. "The boy you were, not the man you are now. Him." Suta did not answer. He had never once considered that the boy needed forgiveness. He had only ever considered him needing punishment. This is the philosophy Suta slowly built after that night. Not from a book, not from a teaching, but from watching his own hands as he returned, in his final years, to small woodwork. Repairing a broken drawer, sanding down a rough edge, fixing what time and carelessness had damaged. He noticed something. When wood cracks, a craftsman does not hate the crack. He does not blame the wood for the years it spent exposed to rain, to sun, to pressure it could not yet withstand. He simply repairs it, not by pretending the crack never existed, but by making the wood whole again around it. The crack becomes part of the object's history. Sometimes, if filled with gold lacquer, as in the old art of kintsugi, the crack becomes the most beautiful part of the piece. Suta began to understand the boy he once was. The impulsive son, the frightened husband, the man chasing meaning in the wrong places, was not his enemy. He was the wood before repair. He was not something to disown. He was something to integrate. This is where the old man's wisdom quietly reaches beyond his mountain village and into the lives of people who will never meet him. Because so many of us live in silent war with our younger selves. We remember the person we were at 20, at 30, the mistakes, the naivety, the cruelty we didn't recognize as cruelty at the time, and we treat that person as a stranger who embarrassed us, someone to delete, someone whose choices we refuse to claim. But psychology tells us something the old woodworkers already knew instinctively. A self that is rejected does not disappear. It simply operates from the shadows, unintegrated, resurfacing in patterns we don't understand. The same arguments repeating, the same fears disguised in new relationships, the same emptiness following every success. The wound left unattended does not heal. It waits. What Sutta discovered was not forgiveness in the soft, easy sense the modern world often speaks of. It was something heavier, more honest. The willingness to say, "That was me. I was not evil. I was unfinished." To look at the boy who hurt his father not as a villain, but as someone who did not yet have the tools that pain would later carve into him. In his final years, Sutta made a small ritual. Each morning, after sitting by the river, he would return home and light a single candle. Not for the dead, but for the boy he once was. He did not pray to him. He simply acknowledged him, the way one acknowledges an old friend who caused harm out of confusion, not malice. "You did not know what you did not know," he would whisper. "But I know now. And because I know now, I do not need to hate you anymore." The flame would flicker, small and steady, like something finally being allowed to rest. This is the quiet truth the mountains seemed to teach him, the truth the river repeated every morning as it moved around stones it could not change. You cannot edit the chapters already written, but you can stop treating the author as your enemy. The boy you were is not separate from the man you became. He is the root beneath the tree, unseen, imperfect, but necessary. Without him, there is no you standing here today, older, softer, wiser. Peace does not come from erasing who you were. It comes from finally sitting beside him, by the fire, in silence, and allowing him to rest. Sutta died the following spring, quietly, in his sleep, the candle beside his bed still faintly warm. The villagers say that on the morning of his passing, the fog over the river was unusually still, as if, for the first time in 78 years, nothing within him was in conflict with anything at all.